Hi everyone, this is Katie. We have a new video today. This is Christina. She's joining us. A lot of you messaged me on Instagram to see what first year is like, so I thought Christina would be the perfect person to explain this. We have a few questions written down, so we'll have a chat along the way and hope you enjoy. All right, so a little bit about you. Just give a bit of a background to everyone and how you got here.
So yeah, just completed first year. I beforehand was a dancer, performer, aerial circus person. It's a bit strange, and then decided I would like to become a chiropractor, and just really thankfully the Teesside course had just started, and a lot of you, I was in the same situation looking for some information about it and found one of Katie's videos and did the same process, messaged Katie just to see what everything was like. So yeah, I'm older, I'm 31. There's definitely an age range on the course, but yeah, really happy I took that jump and that leap to start something new. So yeah.
Okay, why did you want to be a chiropractor?
So I went to, my mum took me to a chiropractor when I was 14 and just went just for just to be healthy and in line and all the rest of it. And then for years the chiropractor would be saying, why don't you become a chiropractor? I was going, no, not for me type thing. And then in the pandemic, I was managing a circus school in London, and that all just disappeared from under my feet, and I moved home and I went to the chiropractors and said, and I was just taught the receptionist going, I just don't have any work, I don't know what I'm going to do. And she was like, oh well, why don't you just cover some hours here on the desk and scribing for the chiropractor? And it wasn't until I actually saw it on someone else that I was like, whoa, what just happened? These people doing things like, they were doing a muscle test, trying to keep their knees together, then they did a drop adjustment, and then the knees stayed together, and to me that just was just mental. So I basically went home that night, I'd done one shift scribing, looked up my options of where I could go and stay at home as well, and found that Teesside had just started, so I was like, it all worked out really well.
Before coming here, how long did you take before getting back into education, or did you do any studying before?
I went to dance college when I was 18, at normal uni sort of age, and then from then, so 21 until 25, I was trying to do musical theatre, lots of auditioning, lots of having a job for a month and then not having a job for 6 months, that type of thing. So lots of work, just getting by jobs really. When I was 25, I did 1 year at Northumbria doing sports, exercise and nutrition, and I do believe that's probably how I got onto the 4 year instead of the 5 year, so instead of doing the foundation. But then I would even say in that uni experience, that was very different to what this is like. I think a lot more classroom based because it's smaller. We were in big lecture halls. This is all it's quite intimate, isn't it? And you are in this room a lot.
Do you live near the uni or do you drive in?
Yes, so I live in Newcastle, and I think I'm not sure about on your course, but a lot of people do actually drive to uni here, so I live North Shields, Newcastle way, so it takes me about 45 minutes, but I do know that in first year especially you have a lot of 9 o'clock starts, but good to get here and be prepped. I don't know about anyone else, but I like to be here and get a coffee and chill. I hate being late and running around, so but yeah, I do know a lot of people drive. Parking, you have to get a parking permit for the uni, and it's £2 a day to park in the uni car parks, but
for any of them, all of them is just £2?
I think so. It's £2 for the whole day, no matter how long you park, I think. But I mean, especially I think there's only one day when we're here 9 till 3, and the rest of them were sort of 9 till 5. Throughout the year, I was driving a lot by myself, and then started to car share and things, which I would highly recommend if you're doing that.
So how would you manage your time if you're driving in every day? Is it manageable? Do you get tired by the time you get home? And
it is manageable. So what I really liked about the first year sort of timetable is that you'd have like a 2-hour lecture in the morning and then 2-hour lectures later on the day, so to have like a gap of 3 hours, and I just would take myself to the library, eat my lunch there and just do the work that I needed. So again as well, being older, like I know people on this course have kids and things, sometimes when you get home you can't actually dedicate your time to your study. So I was like, when I go to uni, that time is purely for uni. So I mean, my friends would come with me to the library, so you're still socialising and things, but actually just doing work at the same time, and I think that really helped.
What did you do, like coming to Teesside? Did you do anything over the summer?
So before coming, no I didn't, but I think a lot of you's probably asked this in interviews, and I know that our lecturers, so Daniel and Faye, they'll say relax and just get your energy ready for an intense sort of like first semester, which I totally agree with, but then I just think it depends on your personality type, and your background and where you're coming from. So if you don't know anything about the muscles or the bones or just names, like maybe it would be good just to watch a few YouTube videos or read an anatomy book. Now you can get like colouring books.
Oh yeah, I like those,
I've seen someone with like a Netta's colouring book, and you know, that's quite chilled. So if you wanted to prepare something, I would say start focusing on your anatomy, but also relax and chill.
Yeah, I guess like a good mixture of everything.
Yeah, talking about time as well, like plan, try and I know I sort of messaged a bit earlier for the timetable, especially if you've got other commitments, just you don't know until you ask, and just try and plan ahead.
Did you borrow any books or buy any books throughout your first year? Because you go to the library a lot too. So do you actually buy books on the side as well, or buy the same books that you need?
I don't know, I think this is all a bit personal preference. Like, the only thing, and I think maybe the difference is on the books front, because I don't live locally. If I can't just like come to the library like a lot of the students, like in your free time. So then sometimes I'd be like, oh, like I wish I had like McGee. I bought a Gray's Anatomy as more of a treat to myself, because I was like, you'll always need that. And I bought a McGee off eBay. But yeah, I think a lot of people as well, if you do want to buy books, you don't need, as much as people are like, I need the newest edition, you don't actually need the newest. The changes that are in them are so small, aren't they? So
the other thing is, so there's Teesside Advanced, so you get £100 each year, and then there's a bunch of books online as well, so you can just buy those. So I didn't buy any of the books needed for class this year. I only bought like 2 last year, anatomy one as well, but then I didn't really use it. I just used stuff from the library anyways. Do you want to get into how placements were for you? Yeah,
we had the 2 chiropractic placements, so you just go to different chiropractors, don't you? And in first year it's purely observational. In second year, do you
it's subjective, so then you start asking questions.
And then the PEEPs, which I hope I say this right, peer enhanced e-placements. So a lot of them as well in first year, they're more about almost like developing you as a person, and they're linked to an essay that you have to write, and yet very sort of based on your self-development, and just sort of trying to get you to think about the bigger picture. We had a person from the optometry course come in, and then we also had lots of sort of like different situations of care that we watched on videos, and we did that with Daniel, and it just sort of made you think like, what would you do in these situations? And very much about your self-development. And then the NHS placements, so if it's the same, there's lots of you've got to do lots of mandatory training on videos, and you take like little exams after the videos, and there's a lot. So the quicker you get them done and out the way, it all has to be done in your own time, the better. We had to do 3 days, and it was basically on different wards in Ripon and Harrogate hospitals, and you were just there basically to volunteer and just watch and see how things went on. And again, that just like we're saying with the PEEPs, you just see things that you normally wouldn't have. I know I saw a lady with like an above knee amputation. I wouldn't have known much about that, and I got a chat with a physio about how they're getting her home and things. So it's all useful experience, and yeah, just good to reflect on, really.
Okay, so and then you get assigned to one, and it's not that you can choose NHS placements?
The hospital?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was based on travel and where you live. So I know if you were sort of like living on campus here, you would probably get Harrogate, but also Ripon's not that far. Yeah, if you do drive, it is handy, but everywhere is reachable by public transport if needed. So
okay, so you had placements and then you had classes. So do you want to go get into classes of how many?
Yeah, I might need you to help me like remembering. So
yeah. Well, I mean, I did it in 2021.
Okay, but I think you've got a better memory than me. So first semester we had physiology.
Yes.
With lovely lecturer Sarah. And then we had anatomy with Rachel, which was great. And we then had foundation skills. So you sort of like doing like, it's like 3 modules at a time, isn't it? So that was really in the first, so from September to Christmas, you're just getting that like good base knowledge of how everything works. Just be a sponge and just try and take it all in, because the more you can get for your the bigger your foundation and the stronger it is, then the easier the rest of the course is going to be. Yeah, so that was first semester. Second semester, clinical imaging, which is really interesting, but I'm not very good at physics, so that was quite hard. But if you do have like a physics or a science A-level, or if you did it at GCSE, then you'll find it a lot easier. But for some of us who've been out of school for a little bit, that was tricky.
So you have 2 parts to it as well.
Yeah.
Then you have the imaging part, and then you have the physics part, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the imaging part was with Daniel, and so that's when you've really got to know your anatomy from semester 1, because you're literally looking at all the bone features, how it should be, knowing what's normal, what's not normal, learning normal abnormalities or congenital defects and things like that. So that is really interesting.
So you had clinical neuro, clinical imaging, and then you also had some foundation skills.
So then foundation skills changed a bit. So in first semester, you're dealing with subjective. So that's just basically talk at the patients. It's not really very hands-on.
More about like medical history, red flags,
Yeah.
screening. Is the patient okay to be, so that you can do an adjustment on?
Ethics, like
ethics.
everything to do with
and then you learn a lot about BCA, UCA,
the history,
ECU.
history of chiropractic. For that module, it was an essay, a reflective essay from the placements. So going back, your placements in semester 1, you need to take notes about how what the chiropractor did, what the patients were like, obviously not naming names or any sort of personal information, but you have to then reflect on what you saw, how you felt, how that that makes difference to you, or what you think about it, what you would do in that situation. And then the other 2 were exams, which are online. Now I do think, and I don't know if this is right, but I think they're trying to obviously get rid of the online exams now that COVID is sort of not there anymore. Foundation skills, you basically learn how to assess all of the joints. So you start from foot and ankle, work up to the knee, hip, and this is like much more hands-on, and it's great. Sort of you are just applying everything you've learned in the year and putting it into practice, which is great.
So just to recap, so first semester you had physiology, anatomy, foundation skills 1, which was all just medical history, red flags, and then semester 2 it was clinical neurology, clinical imaging, which is x-ray, MRI and stuff like that, mostly x-ray, and then you had 2 parts to that, physics and then a regular imaging, and then
and also in that you have to know all the sort of IRMA regulations and things like that. So there's a lot happening in chiropractic at the minute, isn't there, about the benefits and use of X-ray if it's needed for the radiation purposes and things like that. So that's it is important to know. And just the exams of this year, of second semester, you have your Foundation Skills 2 is a practical assessment, and then clinical imaging was an online exam, and then for neuroanatomy, which I think it was a really, I've never experienced anything like this, and I don't know if you had this last year, but there was like 10 stations, and
we didn't have that.
Oh, you didn't have that. So there's 10 stations, and at each station there was like a certain amount of questions, and you had 3 minutes at each station, and when the bell rang you were to the next station. So it was good at making you think quick, and you had to obviously know to write it down quick. It was an interesting way of doing it, I think. But all the sort of assessments, first year doesn't count towards your end grade, but it's all like building blocks and to prepare you for what the end assessments are like after. So it's useful to really treat them like, well, please do treat them like you're meant to.
Because you mentioned that you had Sarah and Rachel, so last year, I don't know if whoever didn't see my previous video, but we mostly just had Daniel. So I guess Sarah and Rachel will probably stay for next year. So do you just want to mention the other lecturers?
As I say, I don't know what Sarah and Rachel are doing, but I know Sarah is a doctor and is a doctor in her field. She's done some amazing research with, and the name of the place leaves me. What's the big sport at Loughborough? She's done lots of research there. She is a researcher, and
she's for anatomy.
She's for physiology.
Oh, physiology.
And Rachel is an anatomist, so she's gone through lots of medical training and then gone on to be an anatomist. Peter, I think he's head of the radiography here. Really, really nice guy, really helpful, really understands that not everyone has a good physics understanding, so he was great. So Daniel, obviously chiropractor, he's course leader. Again,
and then for neuro, did you have Daniel as well?
For neuroanatomy, we had Rachel as well. So we had Faye and Daniel for foundation skills, which is really nice because Faye is very tall, I'm going somewhere, I promise you, but like, especially for sometimes women, we either have like smaller hands or not as strong, or just naturally don't have the same strength as what the men do. So sometimes when you're adjusting things, it was good to have both Faye and not adjusting but testing joints and things. It was good to have Faye in the room because she'd be like, oh, we'll think of just trying to move this way or trying to be like this, or it was good to have her to bounce off as well. I
would kind of say the same thing. We also had Carrie, who's another chiropractor from Stockton Chiropractic. So all three are going to be doing the practical stuff next year in year 2 for you guys. But it's also really good because all three of them show kind of their own way of doing the same thing. So Daniel has a lot of strength in his upper body, and I personally don't. So then I go along with what Faye does, or if Daniel has a technique with his hands and then Faye shows it, then sometimes you can pick and choose of which one you prefer. And there's like such a big difference as well of like your preference to it at the end.
And I don't know about you, but like when you've gone out on placement, you see that everyone is different. And that also you just go, oh, okay. Like obviously it's safe and correct, but they're all different. And you just go, so you do just have to find your way of what you naturally do better and to protect your own body. So
how many of you were in year 1? Because I wasn't fully sure in my last video. I said 24 to 26, but I'm not.
Do you know, probably around that. I thought there was 30, but they're still small. It's a small class.
So for us, because there's 12 of us, did you have enough benches amongst yourselves? Like how many groups did you need? Or was it just partners as well?
Oh no, it would be in partners, but everyone would have a bench. We wouldn't be fighting for benches or space. And a lot of the time, like, I know in your previous video, like your newest video, you talk about like the bench heights and things. People are great for like swapping, like I need to feel if it's easier to do this on this bench or that bench. So yeah, you find your favorite, but then sometimes you go, oh, I can't do this slow down. Or
any tips for the interview?
Yeah, treat it like an interview. Dress smartly, be presentable. Again, like, you've got to think about what you're interviewing for. So you wouldn't want to see a chiropractor in their gym gear, you know, with like coffee down their top. Like, sorry, that's a bit extreme. But
make sure you're sat in a proper space, not walking around.
The interview was lovely. I was interviewed by Daniel, and he really put you at ease. It was more like a chat rather than like questions and thank you and we'll be in touch. I would go through the sort of the university description and just see if you can pull out some words and things that you think, oh well, a chiropractor would have this quality, or and do you have that quality, and what do you think, like, why are you going to be a good chiropractor? I think just having something like that is really helpful. Something that I did, I looked up what the NHS looks for like nurses and things.
Oh, and that's a good
like
one.
Sort of like it is a service to people, a caring industry. So I just thought looking at things like that might be helpful. And you do get a few keywords that you can just use, especially if you're feeling nervous, and you can have some notes. You definitely asked about multidisciplinary. Does you think, like, should chiropractors and other industries like work together? Which I think is good to have an opinion about. And yeah, why do you want to be a chiropractor, basically?
Another thing.
Do you remember anything from your interview?
Yeah, so, well, the thing that Daniel told me is that the written is also a pass or fail. So make sure that you really put effort into what you're going to write, because even if it's a fail for the written, he does have to have an interview with you, he said. So make sure that the written part is fine, because you can fail.
So
on
that's
that part
your
as
personal
well.
statement?
Yes.
Right.
But for me, it was the same. So he said, why you want to be a chiropractor, what makes you a good chiropractor, and then the multidisciplinary thing as well. So those three were the main questions, and then just going off from there, it's just general screening, I guess, of would you be a good fit for here.
By the end of it, you also asked, like, if I had any questions or anything like that, and my main question is what we talked about at the start was like, well, what can I do if I get on the course? Like, what can I do to be ready? And the answer was just relax.
Yeah.
And I also remember he said, if you just hear of something interesting, if someone goes, like, I've heard this and the physio said this, he's like, and it interests you, just go look it up, just because you take those things in more if you enjoy them.
Yeah. Plus, like, if you do a bit of research, like, let's say you listen to podcasts or anything, then you can take key points out from that, just some, extra things, just to make it seem that you're really interested in wanting to be a chiropractor. But I don't know how many people apply, but it's only 30-ish that can get in anyways.
The thought that it is small is something that I just think is great. Like, I do know obviously there's more established chiropractic schools, but there's a lot more people in them. And I think we've all felt that at some point in your life, where you go somewhere you don't feel like really seen or heard, or like if you can't get like involved. But here you've basically got no choice, and I think that's a really good one. And the fact that it is new. I remember in our first week the lecturers basically asked what we wanted from them, which you sort of really don't think. You like to turn up and I'm going to be on a course, but like one of the overriding things was that like they'd stay like open-minded and like develop the course like along with us, because it's new, so it's almost like more exciting, a bit more like, oh, you're at the start of something, so you can make like positive change, and really we can make it our course. And I don't think I've met any lecturers or really any people who aren't unapproachable. Like it's relaxed. Everyone knows who you are, type thing, which is good. Whereas I can imagine on some courses, not just chiropractic ones, but everywhere, you could be like a lone person
Yeah.
type thing. So
I mean, in my undergrad in Canada, there was about 200 of us or so in my year. I'm not even sure, but it was massive. And I remember I was like, oh, I had so many questions for my professor. And then I go up, and then by the time you get down to the front of the classroom, there's like a huge line, and then you're waiting just to talk to him for like 20 minutes. And then you have to leave the classroom because another class is about to come in. And then I'm just like, oh, I'm just gonna send him an email. It's just too annoying. And then no one knows your name. You're just one from the 200 people. So here you're really like, they know you, they know your strengths and weaknesses. They try and tell you what they are and how you can work on them.
well, thank you so much.
All right, no worries. That brings us to the end of the video today. So hope you enjoyed. I will link Christina's Instagram down below in the description, so feel free to reach out to her if you have any additional questions. That was everything that we could think of, but surely we missed something out. But hopefully we got most of the things anyways. So yeah, if you have anything else, then feel free to leave a comment below, and I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can, or you can reach out to me on Instagram as well. But for now, have a great day and see you next time.